Hello, welcome back to RC Projects and the new drift project, an MST RMX 2.0 rear-wheel drive drift chassis. So we're nearly there. We've got front knuckles and rear knuckles to make, shocks and to install the electronics, and that will be this project or this chassis finished. So we're going to get right into it and start with the knuckles. The front hubs have got quite a lot going on with them. We've got these two ball joints here, one for the camber adjustment and one for the lower arm. Got the steering link there is another smaller ball joint. Then you've got the brake disc itself, so the brake caliper itself is held in with a single tiny little screw. Then you've got the axle stub that goes through there round to the front. It's obviously got the pin that holds the disc on and obviously the disc brake itself. So when the wheel is spinning, the disc spins but the caliper stays still, which is quite nice. And this is the basic layout of it. So we'll get this one together and then we'll get them attached in the car. Should be fairly easy. They'll just pop into place because they're ball joints. With the front left hub on, you can see the amount of steering angle you can get. Pretty insane. It's got a stop on that side of the knuckle. You can see it on here. So there's the steering stop. So that's pretty ridiculous. That's massive steering angle, but you obviously need it for rear wheel drive. Yeah, so you've got top and bottom ball joints, so you've got nice smooth motion there. There we go, that's both hubs on now, and you can see the amount of steering angle we can get is pretty insane. And obviously the stop on that one prevents that one from going any further and probably touching the shock. Now we're assembling the universal drive shaft for the rear, and on these there's actually no grub screw to hold in that pin there that holds the whole universal joint together, because the pin is captured in the bearing when these go into the hubs. Well, the part of the bearing, it overlaps where the pin is inserted, so yeah, that pin is captured by the bearing, so you don't need to worry about a grub screw or any Loctite. So yeah, again, these are very simple to put together. A little bit of black grease in the joint there just to keep it nice and free moving. Built one side, really easy, but there is a certain order you want to do it to avoid a bit of frustration, which I found out. You want to leave the disc and caliper setup off when you install it into the car, because there's a tiny little grub screw just there, and there's a shaft that runs through that mounts to the bottom arm. You need to tighten that grub screw down onto the shaft in order to stop the shaft from coming out, and you can't actually reach it when the disc is on. The disc covers it over. So yeah, you're going to want to leave the disc and caliper setup off. Two bearings, there's the ball joint there for the camber link. That's that shaft and the grub screw that tightens onto it. As you can see, that grub screw at the bottom of the arm you can't reach it when the disc is on, so you want to leave that till after the grub screw in there has been tightened down, and you can attach everything else, the ball joint on the top for the camber link and the rear link at the bottom. And that drive shaft pushes right into there, it goes past that collar right into the drive shaft, so I assume that's there to stop it from coming out. Due to me using some shorty packs, these are the Orion 4500 mAh Carbon Pros. There's two mounting points for the battery mounts. There's an inner one and an outer one, and you can have a longer battery setup, but I'm going for the shorter one, so I'm going to be using the innermost hole on the chassis. And you have one of each of these mounts. They are left and right handed with this, two countersunk screws and two body clips. Battery's all nicely secured in. There are actually tabs on the side of this and on this, on the top and on the side there, so you can match your battery size exactly so it doesn't move. And obviously you don't want anything moving around in the chassis, it'll change the weight balance. The rear bumper is super simple, just held in with two countersunk screws at the bottom of the chassis. The body posts held in with one screw and a little dowel. The top part is obviously just where you cut the post down to the size of your body, and then you can move these posts up and down, and it's just one bit of the body post that's sticking out rather than a massive length of it, and that's held in with just one screw. So I'm going to run these for now on just a cheap body, just one that I've got spare, until I get the nice one, and I'll do stealth mounts for those. The front bumper setup is slightly different to the rear in that the body posts are actually incorporated into the front bumper. You've got two mounting points, you've got one just there, and you've got another set just a bit further in, a bit further back. So those body posts are held onto this front bumper by two countersunk screws at bottom, and then this whole bumper is held in with three countersunk screws that go into those three holes there, obviously from underneath, and the top's held on with those two button head screws just there. Now that the chassis is nearly complete, minus the electronics, we're going to move on to my least favourite job, which is the shocks. Now this whole package here was a bundle that I got from RC Mart, and these shocks were included. The standard kit does come with some shocks, but they're plastic bodied, and I thought I may as well go for an upgrade and go full aluminium shocks. I'm not the best at building shocks, some of them do leak in the end, and I don't want these to leak really, and I want them to perform well, so I'm going to take my time with it. I've got a tutorial currently going on YouTube. So this is from Soul RC. I've been recommended this from one of the Facebook pages. So yeah, I'm going to give that a view and just take this process slowly. Next time you'll see it, they'll be on the car. And there we go, I've installed them straight into the chassis. And that video that I showed you earlier, fantastic guide, I'll link that in the description so you can watch it yourself. There's no point me explaining anything about building shocks, they do a much better job of it, so I'll just revert you over to there. But yeah, these shocks are fantastic. They've got the same spring rates, or spring type all the way around, and I've put 10 weight oil in the back and the front as well. But yeah, back is pretty good. So I'm not quite sure how to set up shocks for drifting for rear wheel drive, but yeah, back's stiff and the front is insane. It's like, it takes no pressure for that to squat down, but when you're accelerating it lifts right up. So yeah, front is super soft. But yeah, obviously I've got setup to do and learn all about that, but there was a bit of a fault with the pack of shocks anyway. In the pack you're meant to get 4 of these each, so you get 4 of this size, 4 of that size and 4 of that size, but unfortunately I got 3 of that size and 5 of that size. I got 4 of those, but I got 3 of those and 5 of those. So a bit of a miscount there, so I had to use these longer ones because there wasn't enough of these, and I didn't want to use the really short ones. So yeah, I've got 4, or I've got these this size, 5mm ones on at the moment. So they're currently as big as they'll go, or as long as they'll go, 62mm nearly, I think 61.5. So yeah, a bit disappointed with that. Would have been nice to have a full set of each, but nothing I can do about it now. That's the shocks installed. That's my least favourite part. Again, I'll link that guide in the description box. It's a fantastic guide. It gives you all the information that you need on how to build shocks properly. I've realised that I've been doing it wrong this whole time, so I might have to go back and do all the other shocks. So now all I've got left to do is install the electronics and give it a quick test run. In terms of electronics, you've already seen the motor and the servo. So this is the ESC and the gyro. So this is a Sky Toro TS120 competition ESC. It does come with a fan for the top. It's a censored brushless ESC. Highly recommended by the guys I go drifting with. They recommended all the electronics that I've got, so yeah, can't really argue. Almost everyone recommended one of these. As you can see, I've already soldered the connections onto there and the battery connections. So all I've got to do today is do the motor connections, which I am going to be doing off camera. But the gyro is a Oniseki aluminium case gyro, so it was fairly cheap, but it looks quite nice, and it's got quite a small footprint. So yes, so I'm going to install that last. I'm going to get the motor wires soldered first, and then we'll worry about the gyro and getting it set up and calibrated and all that sort of stuff. So that's all going to be brand new to me. Never set up a gyro before. That's all the motor wires hooked up. You can see they're all the same length roughly, so it all looks fairly neat and tidy. Also got the sensor cable in there, but it is quite short and it's quite tight in there, so I might have to get a longer one just so there's a bit less stress on it. It's still fairly free to move, just a bit tight down there. You can see it touches right up against the battery post. But yeah, for now that'll be okay. So I'm going to throw on the fan and plug in the receiver. I'm not going to put the gyro in just yet. I'm just going to set up the ESC and the servo as is, and then put the gyro in afterwards when the calibration is done on the ESC and I've got all the right settings on there. And then I've got some of that double hook velcro stuck down to the chassis so I can move the ESC and the receiver around wherever I want. Yeah, it's looking nice and clean. I've bound the radio to the receiver and set up the ESC with the forward, neutral and reverse calibration. Luckily I had the program box, got this for about £20, and this programs this ESC and quite a few others, and you can also test your LiPo battery voltages on it, which is really good, so good little purchase. But yeah, the ESC was in forward brake mode and it wouldn't actually calibrate, so I had to go into it and set it up on forward brake and reverse mode, so I can actually set the endpoints for the transmitter. So yeah, if you didn't have one of those, you couldn't really set up the ESC, which was a bit weird. But yeah, it is fully working, so I'll quickly turn it on and show you. I'm not going to plug the fan in because it is ridiculously loud and I don't really need it on just for setup. But there you go. It used to beep, I don't know why it's not beeping, but so I've got throttle. I've also got steering, which is stupidly fast. So yeah, we are all good to go. On the chassis there is a place for the gyro, which is just here. It's a little flat plate for it, so I'm going to stick it there, and then you plug the servo into the gyro, and then you plug the gyro into the two spots on the receiver. So the place where the servo goes and one of the other ports, because you need to supply it with power, and then it also needs to get the link from the transmitter for the steering. So yeah, it runs quite a lot runs through the gyro, and I've never set one up before, so it's a brand new experience for me. So I'm going to do that and then report back. And there we go. Setup was really easy. It actually sets itself up every time we turn it on. You basically have to keep it still, and it will set itself and set it all its limits and parameters, and then you're ready to go. That red light will blink, and then when it's set up it will just stay red. But yeah, the plug-in was really easy. It's 2 wires to the receiver, so you've got the power one that sits in either of the top channels, and then the servo wire essentially goes in channel 1, and then the servo plugs into this, your own servo plugs into this extension here. And yeah, that's it basically. Just stick it down and let it do its own thing. There's no setup required. It sets itself up every time you turn on the RC. And obviously you can see I've tidied up all the cabling. It's all nice and neat and tidy in there, and I've just done a general tidy of the wiring and chassis itself. So yeah, it is done. So you can hear the fan is quite loud, but you can see that's gone solid red, so that means the gyro works. So if I move the back end, you can see it counter steers for me, and that's a lot faster than I can do it on the controller. So I'll see how it handles tomorrow. But you can see really fast, as is the steering. Lock to lock. You can see that fan is running really fast. But yeah, turn this off. I am really pleased with how it's gone. Quite an easy setup, an easy build. But you may be wondering about a body. Some of you guys may remember this from way back when we were doing the RC drift lesson videos. This was my cheap basher body, so I didn't wreck the R34 Skyline. But yeah, this is my basher body. It's a really cheap one from eBay. I think it was about £10. But I have dressed it up a little bit. I did have some spare GTR light buckets for the front and the rear. So I've done my usual thing of just sticking a blank LED in there for now, and I'm going to be painting these red anyway. And I've obviously stuck a couple of LEDs in the front as well, just there clearing an indicator. And I've put some Ganador style mirrors on there and a giant rear wing, just to try and dress it up a little bit. I've taken all the stickers off that it had on before, and I am going to keep using this as just like a drift missile body. I'm going to mask the windows and the roof and the bonnet, and I'm going to paint it a solid colour, probably might do a pink or something, just a little bit vibrant, and then carbon wrap the bonnet and the roof, and possibly the boot as well. So this is just going to be a beta body for now, while I'm learning rear wheel drive drifting, and then when I get the hang of it, I'll invest in a brand new nice shell to use. But yeah, this is just for now, and just so I've got a body to run. I think it looks okay. Once it's got a colour on it, I'm going to paint on the outside so it'll go flat. But yeah, once it's got a colour on it, it will look much better, because this design is not very nice. But for now, it will do. So that is it for this build of the RMX 2.0, the new drift project. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to check out the Facebook and Twitter pages, links are down below in the description box, and I shall see you next time on RC Projects. Bye.